Good morning and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today to meet the producer for the documentary being prepared for PBS. I am Jackie Ryknowski, the Executive Director of the PHS Commissioned Officers Foundation for the Advancement of Public Health. Today's session is being recorded. HHS is not endorsing any fundraising initiatives in connection with the creation of this documentary. I would now like to turn it over to Rear Admiral Retired Pam Schweitzer, the project lead. Pam?
Hi, and good morning, good afternoon to everyone. It's an honor for me to be able to be here and introduce Chris Schueler here, which I'll do in a minute. But first, I just wanted to say, there is not, I retired a few years ago, and there is not a day goes by that I am not grateful for the wonderful career I had, the wonderful people that I had a chance to work with. And I know going through COVID, I had a chance to view that from being retired. And I saw all the wonderful work that all of you did, for our country and the world, and had a chance to observe that because I had worked with you before and seen in the news and tracking all that. Anyway, it's a wonderful group of people that I have had the opportunity to work with. And so that's sort of why this kind of has come to pass. So what happened was during COVID, we were all working on different aspects of addressing this public health crisis. And Chris Schueler, who I'll tell a little bit more in a second here, he was working on, even before COVID, on a documentary. It was a PBS documentary. It was called A Misinformation Virus. And he had started working on this prior to COVID. And this was about addressing misinformation about vaccines. And he had worked with a pediatrician. And so then COVID hit, and it sort of like sprang this more into action. So we somewhere met along the way there and had a chance to work with him. And as he put this whole documentary, so I got to watch this whole process of putting together a documentary. And then I found out he has worked on many, many public health initiatives. We were bound to meet at one time. We were bound to meet. And he is very well known in the PBS world. He's done all these amazing documentaries, public health related, just all over the world. He's been involved in news. He's got this wonderful history. So anyway, what happened was when we were sort of kind of working together on this, mainly I was helping with the rollout and getting the message out. And what the message really was, after the documentary came out, what happened is how do we get this spread and to drive change? And so working with all of the, provider groups and organizations and youth groups and just across the nation, screening after screening, and having these, showing the documentary, having these discussions. So not only did PBS have this, was it nationwide in several markets, it was also shown into small groups in communities and in neighborhoods all over to get the conversation going and having discussion. And that there was the most valuable part right there. That was where we really knew impact was being made. And, Chris, of course, was tracking all this impact and helping to drive change in all these different communities. So that was the part. When we were getting to know each other, what happened was, have you ever heard of the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps? And all of us probably know the answer to that. Most people don't, and he didn't. So, over that time, sent him a book. He read all the books. He loves to read. He loves to do research. That's kind of his thing. So when the documentary, when we were kind of winding down, he started telling, this would be a really good documentary just to really tell people about the Corps. So he has been doing his research for this past year on this, and it's kind of come to pass. And that's why we're here today. So we're here today to share, so he can share a little bit about the project and what we've been working on. The title of it is Invisible Corps, and you'll hear more about it from him. But I will tell you, this is how well he's known in his community. He's super well networked. He's all over the world doing these screenings and doing these shows, has won all these awards. One of the areas that he's done, he has like 50 Emmy nominees. He's won like 25 Emmy nominations, or he's won 25 Emmy awards, maybe more than that, but he's very well known. I had a chance to go and see him in an awards area, and he's just very well known in all of this. So PBS, I know, is excited about this. He keeps them informed. They're real excited about this potential. There really isn't anything out there like this. And it's an honor for me to be part of this project and to really let people know about our U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps and just the amazing work that you do, your credentials, your expertise, and just the wonderful changes and influence you have in our country and throughout the world. So what I'm going to do right now is pass it over to Chris. Oh, and if people have questions while he's talking, there's a chat, and Jackie's opened it up for people to put comments in there. And you are welcome to put questions in there, because Rear Admiral Steve Solomon will be moderating the questions at the end. And I would like to now turn this over to Chris so he can tell us what he's been up to and about the project.
Thank you so much, Admiral Schweitzer. And it's such an honor for me to be here today. And it's an honor I hope I get a chance to meet a lot of you in person, either through the production or at the premiere or somewhere along the way in the next couple of years. I was stunned when I learned about the Commission Corps. I was amazed when Admiral Schweitzer started telling me about it, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm knowledgeable. I've been involved in a lot of things, a lot of public health issues all over the country. I've never heard of this group, and you know this. I'm preaching to the choir here. As I've learned over the last actually 8-9 months, reading the books and doing the studying, finding out about your organization and what you do and all the 11 categories and how these are all interrelated to public health issues, I thought as key as this work is that you are doing around the country and around the world, for goodness sake, who knows about it? So that's one question. And you know the answer to that, not a lot. And the other more important question to me as I create this project is, why is it important that people do know about the work you do? And it's not an easy answer. There are multiple answers here. The millions of lives that you affect in the United States and around the world every day over the long term is just stunning to me. The lives that you have changed throughout history, fluoride, malaria, Ebola, Katrina, 9/11, the pandemic, COVID, all this work that you are doing has affected people. You know all this, but I'm excited about it because I'm just learning about it. And my job is now to make sure that across the country, our fellow US citizens understand not only what you do, why it's important, and how they can participate in helping you extend your vision and your reach around the country and around the world. I think that's what my goal is with the project. You are, as you know, the connective tissue for healthcare, for public health in this country. I think people need to know what public health is and why it's crucial. And I think that's an element here that can be addressed in this as well. Anyway, Admiral Schweitzer mentioned how the project came to pass. And that's exactly it. And we met, thankfully, almost a year ago now. So I've been studying and working with this and picking up all the books and things. Our production schedule, I'm going to go over a few things for you. And then questions you may have would be, I'd love to answer anything that you have. So our production schedule, as I mentioned, we've been researching the Commission Corps for the last almost a year now in a variety of ways. I have stacks here of information and websites and things and people and places, and have pre-interviewed a lot of people and talked to a lot of people. That's been going on. We're going to be filming starting August 24th in Washington, D.C. The filming will go, we're going to be in Washington, we're going to be in Oklahoma, Texas, and Arizona, and all over the place through about September 9th or 10th. Then what happens is, more than you want to know about production, once we do all these interviews all over the country, we've already been gathering footage of that old 1936 or 38 video about the Public Health Service is just amazing. So we've been gathering all sorts of film, pictures, still pictures of your work over the last several decades. So we've got that. And then after we finish up the interviews, I'll be writing the project. We transcribe everybody's interviews, everything that everybody said. I have all my research, and then I start the writing process, which is my favorite process. That'll happen September, October, November. Then the actual editing of the piece will start about December, and that'll go December, January, February, March. And then we do all the sweetening and the final layers and the output and all that sort of thing. And then it will be released. The world premiere is going to be at your convention, or the Convention Officers Foundation convention in Tulsa in early May, which is going to be really fun. So that'll be the first time everybody sees it, which is going to be great. You'll all be together and it just makes sense. So what are we going to cover in the piece? So we look at what is the goal of the project. As Admiral Schweitzer mentioned earlier, you can create a documentary, and you've seen a lot of documentaries, or you've seen what's been on, the TV, or, if you watch documentaries, many of them are done. They're beautiful. They're great. They show and they go away. Our goal is to figure out the most useful part of what we're doing and really hone in on that. So how we decide what we're going to put into this 1 hour special is based upon who is the audience, what do we want them to get out of this, and why is this important to them? That seems simple, but it's a fairly long, arduous process. The other thing we look at is, and this is from my perspective, and what I really enjoy doing, is how does that audience, the target audience, how do they currently see the Commission Corps? How do they look at you? What do they know about you? And what don't they know about you? I've asked several people, if we asked every senator in the Senate, what is the Public Health Service Commission Corps and what do they do? Would they know? Would they have a clue? Would they know all the 11 categories? Would they understand that you're in the FDA and the Indian Health Service and the NIH and all the places that you all work? Would they have a clue? And would they have a clue how connected you are to public health in ways that are really crucial to this country? I don't know. I don't think so. But how they view that, we have to understand enough so that we create this program to engage them in a way that they will want to learn more and that they will understand better at the end of this hour. Wow, do we need to pay attention here? So that's the way we write this thing, and that's the way we figure out how it's going to be covered. What we really have to understand is everyone who sees this is not going to have the background that I've just developed over the last year. Not everyone that sees this is going to have your vision of what the Commission Corps should be or will be or could be. So I look at all that as I'm writing it. This is more than you want to know about production, but I'm excited about it. I'm thrilled about it. So how do we do that? How do we do that in a 1 hour show? We can't. There is no way on God's green earth that we can cover everything in 1 hour. What we do, and I think this is really important, and you will have access to all of this. What we will do is create, out of this 1 hour, we're going to create short segments. When we do a segment about how the Public Health Service is involved in the, is involved in the National Park Service, we're going to have a little segment about that somehow. I don't know how long or short it'll be. I don't know what it'll include now because we haven't done that. But we're going to pull that out as a 1 to 2 to 3 minute piece that will be separately available. And we're going to do that in every area that we cover. Every interview that we do with everyone will, in fact, be available. The full interview. We'll interview people for 30, 45 minutes. We're interviewing, I don't know, somewhere around 30 folks maybe. All those interviews at 45 minutes each aren't going to go into a 1 hour show, but each one of those interviews will be available. You will have that available. the full interview. The transcription of that interview will be available. So that as people go along, you may say, gosh, I'd like to know more about what Richard Carmona said about this or that. You can watch the whole doggone interview. Also, those little segments, I think, which are going to be really important, all the little pieces. If you are in dentistry, if you are a dietitian, if you are, whatever category you're in, there's going to be a segment in there you're going to want to take when you go and try to explain to people what you do. And hopefully that will be useful. We want to make this as useful as possible to people. So we will be doing those pull-out pieces. We're going to have a website. A good example of all these elements is our last show that we just did, the vaccination from the misinformation virus. If you go to that website, which is themisinformationvirus.com, you can see how we took that 1 hour and cut it into all sorts of little segments that are usable and downloadable. That's a similar way that we're going to handle this, because the 1 hour show will be wonderful. We'll also do a 30-minute of this 1 hour show. So if you want to go to the, you're going to go to the local Rotary Club and you want to show a little piece and you don't have an hour, you can show the 30-minute piece, or you can pull out one of these short segments and use that, whichever one you want. And hopefully that'll be useful to you. So that's the deal. I am a distiller. I like to describe myself that way. I'm a distiller of information. And so my job, it's going to be wonderful and exciting, and I'm very honored to do it, is to take all this information about the amazing things you do, have done, and will do in the future, and put them into a form that will engage these viewers, especially these target audience folks, and engage them in a way that they go, wow, I want to know more. I want to understand this. I do understand this is crucial to the public health of this country and around the world. And you are. So with that being said, I know we don't have a lot of time here, but I want to thank you for the work that you have done in the past. If you're retired, for the work that you're still doing. And I know you're retired. The folks who are retired, I know are still working, because that's what your heart is all about. I've learned that about the Corps. And I want to thank you for those of you who are in active duty too, because your work, you may not feel it, but my goodness, the people that you're affecting every day is just amazing. And I'm stunned and I'm honored, and I'm really excited to do our best work on this film over the next 6 months to a year to make this happen. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the president of your foundation, Rear Admiral Dr. Steve Solomon, and let you take over.
Thanks, Chris. As Chris said, I'm Steve Solomon. I'm the president of the foundation. Let me just say a couple of things, and then we have so many folks with our gratitude, more than we thought. So please post any questions you have in the chat. Of course, we have at least four screens full, and I'm not going to be able to see your hands raised. So please put your questions in the chat. Let me just say a couple of things. One, first, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you for your interest in this work. Those of you who had the opportunity to be with us at our symposium know that there was a lot of discussion about the fact that everyone wants our Commissioned Corps to no longer be invisible. It cannot any longer be the invisible Corps. As Chris said, we want to show the world your work, the work that you devoted your time and effort to. I see a lot of my colleagues from 30 years in the Corps on this chat. So to get more information, we only have a few minutes to take questions, but please go to www.phscof.org, www.phs.org/documentary. There's a lot more information there. And if you want to send, we're just thrilled with your engagement. If you want to send us or send me comments, there's a contact us page. It may take me a while to get back to you if there's a lot of comments, but I want to engage with you, as I know Pam and Chris do. to make this the best documentary ever, and the first one and the only one that I know of that's going to highlight our Commission Corps. We have I see one question. How important is it for COA to document our experiences? And what platforms and tools do you suggest to do that? So, Chris, we'll have this documentary. What are the various ways that the content that you develop can be disseminated beyond just showing on PBS?
Great question. So we're going to make this really easy for folks. First of all, the PBS show itself will be streamed on the PBS app. Now, most people don't have the PBS app. Some people may have it and maybe not. But when we do the rollout for the piece, one of the things I do is sign with PBS an agreement that they are allowed for the next 3 years to stream this. So as with the vaccination film that is just making its rounds now, you can go to PBS, put the name in, and there it is. The other thing is you will have a link, the Commission Officers Foundation, which you will send out to everyone who's here and everyone in your group. It says, here's the link, and it's the PBS link. You click on it. You don't have to join anything. You don't have to pay anything. It's right there. They can watch online. All the elements that I mentioned, these short pieces that we'll be pulling out, those will be available as a file that is easily downloadable, either through Dropbox or streamed. And we can actually talk about that with the foundation. We may have talked about this a little bit. We can put that on your website, so you can just click on it and watch it. You can download it through the Dropbox piece, and you'll all have access to those things. So that'll be real simple. And actually, the short versions, a really good way to do this is to use social media. As you know, I'm an older guy, so the Twitter and the Hoovis and the Doovis and the Wingus and the Freds and all those different social media platforms. I know some of them I'm not familiar with, but you can use these little pieces to put in there to explain things to people, which I think is going to be really valuable. And I noticed just one other thing, Steve, somebody mentioned, is PBS on board, or how are they on board? Because we are in, actually, we'll be hoping for your look at this down the road. We, as an independent producer, find a presenting PBS station. I've worked with several different stations around the country. We've already selected one. They are already thrilled about this. They already know it's going to be happening, and they're going to be rolling it out in mid to late May after you premiere it at the conference. And they put it out to all the PBS stations in the country. PBS is not a typical network. Each station decides what they're going to air. So a station in Washington may not air at the same time and date the station in LA. And that's the way they work. So many stations, because you all serve all over the country, I've got to believe this will be picked up by many stations around the country. Our last 3 projects have been in well over 50% of the country, which is a huge number. So stations on their own will decide when and where they air it. But our view based on our last several show is we're going to be in really good shape with PBS. But I think, as Admiral Schweitzer mentioned earlier, the real value is going to be using this. You may take the full hour, you may take the 30-minute, you may take any of the short segments and create a showing in your community. Take it to your Rotary Club, your Kiwanis Club, whatever, and create your own segment. We've been doing this with the vaccine film for the last 6 months, virtually and live, all over the country. A lot of universities have picked it up. I think this is a great opportunity to gather community together to understand what it is you do from a local perspective.
So Chris and Jackie may be able to help with this as well. There's a question about interviewing officers, which I think means active duty officers. And there are some issues around that. So either Chris or Jackie, do you want to comment on that for clarity?
Well, I know that Pam had been working that, and there are a few active duty officers on the list, and they are currently working with HHS or the agency to get approval. So that's about what I know. I believe that Pam had to sign off. So if the person that asked the question wants to reach out to me directly, I can certainly provide some follow-up. Chris, do you have anything additional to add?
Many of the people we're interviewing at this point, and our production schedule is just amazing in terms of the quality and the breadth of expertise. So most of the people are retired Corps members, which has been a little easier to deal with. But we do have several who are active duty, and we are going through those processes and filling out the forms and meeting with the people, because everybody, I mean, everybody has to be very comfortable with this. People who we are going to be interviewing, hopefully, have to be approved, as is very common, especially in any federal government things. We've done a lot of work on a variety of projects where we interviewed people with NSA and a number of various federal agencies, and there's steps you take, and that's very key and important. And we sign agreements with the Department of Defense. We just signed one the other day. I know Dean Romano's online, I believe, and we're going to be interviewing her. And because she works at the USU school there in DC, we have to sign an agreement with the DoD that says, here's what has to happen. So that's fine. And we're very willing and able to do that.
So we have another question. Someone has been reading some of my opinions in the front line and wants to know if any of those will be put into the documentary.
Yeah, Steve, it depends on how good you are on camera, man.
Okay.
It just, I said, no. And I joke around about this, but your opinions and your work, and I have them all. Actually, not only you've given them to me, you've sent them to me, and I've looked them up. So I have them all stacked here. So we'll read through all those, and some incredible, the future that you envision that's possible, I think is really, really spectacular. And I'm really excited about helping people understand what that may be. And I know, absolutely. And so, we will be interviewing Rear Admiral Solomon, and that'll be in August in DC.
So hopefully we'll get that in there if my makeup looks good enough.
Exactly.
So there's a couple other questions. One about whether this will help specifically about with the DD-214s for retirees, and I think just generally, and I won't necessarily speak for Jackie, but I will speak for the foundation and say that anything that we can do to put the Corps, the Commission Corps of the Public Health Service, front and center in everybody's awareness with regard to the fact that we are the health defense force for the United States, that what we do is to protect the health and safety of Americans just as much as any other uniformed service. If we do that, and as Chris said, our goal is not just the media and the public, but it's 435 representatives and 100 senators, and help them to understand that the Commission Corps exists. And so my own opinion is that when they understand that our Commission Corps, PHS Commission Corps exists, that's going to help in a whole variety of things, rather than having to sit down with every brand new aide to every brand new congressperson and explain to them from ground zero what the Commission Corps is. So Jackie, I won't speak for you, but I think it's going to make it a lot easier for any of the representation that goes on.
And I might mention, Steve, this is, first of all, your passion is so wonderful, and everybody that we've spoken to, and it is so clear that officers are passionate, not only about their own careers and their own expertise, but they're passionate about public health. And that is going to come through. Somebody asked about the U.S. Coast Guard and its relationship. Yes. The National Park Service and its relationship. Yes. We're going to be involving all those things. And how we do that is going to be really a fascinating puzzle piece. And I will mention, we're just sort of in the final, well, we're going to be researching over the next 2 or 3 months, even once we get into the filming process. But we found some amazing images through government sources and through non-government sources, pictures. We are still looking for all those things. So we're gathering those together, excuse me. But if you know anybody, family, friends, companies, whatever, who want to partner in any way, send them our way. And we're talking to everybody we possibly can talk to. And of course, in a 1 hour special, not everybody's going to be in the show. But the information and the way it's structured and the core of how we do this, there's a lot of moving parts, but I think you're going to be very excited about how this comes out.
So we are just about at the 30-minute mark, and we promised to keep this to a half hour. So let me just say, this is well underway. We think and are committed to getting this done, but we need your help. We absolutely need your help to make this a reality. So please go to the website. It's in the chat, phscof.org/documentary. Please go to that site and learn how you can help make this a reality. We're well down the road and we're committed to making it happen, but we absolutely need your help. We cannot get this done without your help, your assistance, and your engagement. Please go to that site, learn how you can help us, learn more about what we're doing. And we look forward to continuing our engagement with you. And the turnout here is just so great that we'll try and arrange something a little bit further down the road to give you an update about where we stand. But please know that we need your help to finish and complete this project. Go to the website and learn what you can do to help make this reality. Any final comments, Jackie, Chris?
Thank you. Thanks for being involved. Thank you for what you do. And I'm so honored to be a part of this project. It's going to be amazing and fantastic. And it's because you all are so good at what you do. I'm just going to distill the information. It's going to be fantastic.
Thank you. Go to the website, help us make it happen. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful turnout. Have a good afternoon.